Hi, Kim. I completed my Ice Spy activity yesterday, and I went to Woodfield Mall. I just felt like I would get a pretty nice range of individuals and different types of communication that could occur at Woodfield Mall. So I literally went there and just sat in the middle and just observed everybody without trying to be too obvious that I was observing them and their communication. So what I saw was obviously at Woodfield Mall, you have a bunch of individuals at all age ranges. There was groups of people, there was family, there was teenagers. So I mean, anyone and everyone was kind of there. Um, at the mall. And as I was sitting there, I was watching not only people walking by and having interactions, but also people sitting down and either enjoying a coffee or just chatting. I got a good mix of different communication styles that I saw. The types of communication that I witnessed were both verbal and nonverbal. So, an example of a verbal communication that I saw was conversations that were had, a, a husband or a boyfriend talking to his girlfriend about where she wanted to go out to dinner, other people asking, like, hey, where do you want to go next? Which store do you want to go to? Or did you buy this? Did you buy that? So it was verbal communication, and then I also saw nonverbal communication. And examples of that was there was a little girl that was upset at her sister, so she stuck her tongue out at her sister, basically nonverbal communicating that she was upset at her sister. And another example of nonverbal, or a different type of a verbal communication that I overheard were, a group of teenage girls, and this teenage girl was telling a story about something that happened at school. However, she was using sarcasm, but then her facial expressions were completely different than what she was saying. And I felt like that interaction would be very difficult for somebody with autism, just because if you're saying the words, but somebody doesn't understand that you're being sarcastic, you might take them for being serious because you're not able to read their facial expression and recognize that you are actually being sarcastic. So I thought that that was a pretty good example of a communication that might be very difficult for somebody with autism. I also, as I sat there, kind of pondered about what communication is. And I feel like it's just so powerful, and we never really think about it. But communication basically helps us express ourselves, whether it be our feelings, ideas that we're having, anything that we want to express, we're able to do so with either words or using gestures or pointing or using any type of augmentative communication device. And I also feel like it's a very fundamental social skill. And because it's a social skill, it requires us to be very flexible, especially when the sarcasm starts to come in conversations, or being able to read somebody's body language, or being able to read someone's facial expressions. It's always changing, especially since conversations can go from very good conversations to somehow ending up as being very bad conversations. So you always have to be very flexible with the other person that you're having a conversation with. And I feel like that's a very hard and difficult skill for somebody with autism that's not able to read those nonverbal cues. So, not only that, but I felt like there was a lot of sensory going on around the mall, and I feel like when an individual with autism is kind of like in a sensory overload, their communication is going to be hindered, because they're not able to fully participate in a conversation or not be able to engage because it's very distracting for them because of either the lights or the sound or the amount of people or somebody brushing up against them. So there was just a lot of different variables that as I sat there, I saw and also pondered. Thanks.